Method org.postgresql.jdbc.PgConnection.createClob is not yet implemented. Introduction. A common issue in Spring Boot applications using PostgreSQL, JPA, and Hibernate is method org.postgresql.jdbc.PgConnection.createClob is not yet implemented. This error usually appears when saving large text fields using @lob with string persisting entities with CLOB mapping, working with PostgreSQL and Hibernate. It can be confusing because the code may work fine with other databases but fail with PostgreSQL. Understanding this issue is important because it helps you correctly map large text fields in PostgreSQL and avoid hibernate.jdbc mismatches. What does this error mean? It means Hibernate, or JPA, is trying to use the JDBC createClob method on a PostgreSQL connection, but the PostgreSQL JDBC driver does not implement that method. In simple terms, Hibernate expects CLOB support, means PostgreSQL driver does not support. CreateClob means error occurs. Example concept. Entity save means Hibernate uses CreateClob, means PostgreSQL driver throws error. Why this happens? In some databases, a large text field is handled as a CLOB, character large object. In PostgreSQL, large text content is usually stored using text, sometimes varchar, not standard JDBC CLOB handling, in the same way as Oracle or some other databases. So, if Hibernate tries to treat a Java string as a true CLOB, PostgreSQL may fail. Example concept. Java string plus @lob means Hibernate chooses CLOB style, means PostgreSQL does not like it. Most common cause. The most common cause is lob private string content. With PostgreSQL, this may cause Hibernate to attempt CLOB handling. Example concept. @lob on string means Hibernate may call createClob. Example problem entity. @entity public class article. @id @generated value private long id. @lob private string description. Getters and setters. Save operation. Article repository.save article. Error method. org.postgresql.jdbc.PgConnection.createClob is not yet implemented. Why PostgreSQL is different. PostgreSQL does not usually need JDBC CLOB creation for normal large text storage. Instead, PostgreSQL handles large text naturally with text. Example concept. PostgreSQL prefers text, means not JDBC createClob. Best fix. Use text column instead of @lob CLOB mapping. For PostgreSQL, the cleanest solution is usually to map the field as normal text. Example @entity public class article. @id generated value private long id. Column definition equals text. Private string description. Getters and setters. Example concept. String plus text column means PostgreSQL friendly large text mapping. This avoids Hibernate trying to use createClob. Why this works. With @column definition equals text. Private string description. Hibernate maps the field to PostgreSQL text instead of treating it like a JDBC managed CLOB. Example concept. Text mapping means no createClob call means save works. Alternative fix. Remove @lob if you only need large text. If your field is just a long string and you do not need special lob behavior, remove @lob. Example. @column definition equals text. Private string description. Instead of @lob private string description. Example concept. Remove @lob means avoid CLOB path. Fix for Hibernate property. Non-contextual lob creation. Another common fix is to tell Hibernate not to use contextual JDBC.lob creation. Application.properties, spring.jpa.properties.hibernate.jdbc.lob.non contextual creation, true. Example concept. Hibernate non-contextual LOB handling means avoids createClob dependency. This is a very common PostgreSQL fix. Why non-contextual creation equals true helps. Normally, Hibernate may try to create LOBs using JDBC connection methods, like create CLOB, create blob. When you enable hibernate.jdbc.lob non-contextual creation true, Hibernate uses a different strategy that does not rely on the JDBC driver implementing create CLOB. Example concept. Hibernate avoids JDBC create CLOB, means PostgreSQL works better. Recommended combined fix. A very common PostgreSQL-friendly setup is entity at column, column definition equals text, private string description, application.properties, spring.jpa.properties.hibernate.jdbc.lob non-contextual creation equals true. Example concept. Text column plus non-contextual LOB creation equals stable PostgreSQL setup. Another cause, wrong Hibernate dialect or old driver. Sometimes the issue becomes worse if PostgreSQL JDBC driver is outdated, Hibernate version is old, PostgreSQL dialect is incorrect or missing. Example properties spring jpa.database-platform equals org.hibernate.dialect.postgresql dialect. Example concept. Correct dialect plus modern driver means fewer LOB mapping issues. Check PostgreSQL JDBC driver version. Make sure you are using a recent PostgreSQL JDBC driver. Maven example. Dependency. Group ID. org.postgresql group ID. Artifact ID. PostgreSQL artifact ID. If version is managed externally, ensure it is not very old. Example concept. Old driver means more compatibility problems. Real-world example problem entity. At entity public class note. At id. At generated value private long id. At lob private string content. Problem. Saving note causes. PgConnection.createClob is not yet implemented better version. At entity public class note. At did generated value private long id. At column, column definition equals text, private string content. And spring.jpa.properties, hibernate.jdbc.lob non-contextual creation true. Example concept. Large text stored as text means PostgreSQL handles it correctly. Difference between @lob and text. @lob JPA level LOB mapping may trigger JDBC CLOB behavior, can cause issues with PostgreSQL driver. Text, database native PostgreSQL text type, simpler for large strings. Usually the better choice for PostgreSQL string content. Example concept. @lob equals generic JPA concept text. PostgreSQL native practical solution when @lob is still okay. @lob is more useful when you are storing binary data, byte. You truly need LOB semantics across databases. You carefully handle dialect-specific behavior. But for plain large text in PostgreSQL, text is often better. Example concept. Large string in PostgreSQL means text, usually better than @lob. Common mistakes. 1. Using @lob for every large string. This often triggers unnecessary CLOB handling. 2. Assuming all databases handle CLOB the same way. PostgreSQL behaves differently from some other databases. 3. Missing Hibernate PostgreSQL LOB property. Without the non-contextual property, Hibernate may try unsupported JDBC methods. 4. Using outdated JDBC driver. All drivers can increase compatibility issues. 5. Ignoring database native types. Using PostgreSQL text is often the simplest solution. Best practices. Best practices include use @column, column definition equals text for large text in PostgreSQL. Avoid @lob on string unless you truly need it. Set spring.jpa.properties hibernate.jdbc.lob.non contextual creation equals true. Use the correct PostgreSQL dialect. Keep PostgreSQL JDBC driver reasonably up to date. Test entity mappings against the real database, not only H2. Example concept. Database-aware mapping means fewer runtime persistence errors. Advantages of understanding this issue. Once you understand this error, you can map large text fields correctly, avoid PostgreSQL hibernate.lob issues, reduce runtime save failures, write more database-friendly entity models, debug JPA persistence issues faster. Example concept. Better ORM mapping knowledge means fewer database surprises. This issue is confusing because the entity field is just a string. The error mentions JDBC internals. It often works with one database, but fails with PostgreSQL. The real issue is not the string itself, but how Hibernate maps it. Example concept. Simple field means complex ORM JDBC behavior underneath concepts learned. By learning this topic, you understand why PostgreSQL throws CreateClob not implemented, how @lob on string can trigger CLOB handling, why PostgreSQL text is often better for large strings, how hibernate.jdbc.lob.non contextual creation equals true helps, why JDBC driver version and dialect matter, how to design more database-friendly JPA mappings. Simple definition. PgConnection.createClob is not yet implemented. A PostgreSQL Hibernate error that happens when Hibernate tries to use JDBC CLOB creation for a field, but the PostgreSQL JDBC driver does not support that method. The error. Method org PostgreSQL.jdbc PgConnection.createClob is not yet implemented. Usually happens when Hibernate tries to map a Java string as a JDBC CLOB in PostgreSQL. The most common fixes are: replace @lob string with @column definition equals text private string content. Add spring.jpa.properties.hibernate.jdbc.lob non-contextual creation true. Make sure your PostgreSQL dialect and JDBC driver are correct. For PostgreSQL, large text is usually best stored as text, not as a JDBC managed CLOB. Once you map it that way, this error usually disappears.